Hey everyone, today we'll be covering the standard opening for River Surges and Sunlight. This is not the only way to play this spirit, but I find this is a solid opening strategy for players who are trying to get familiar with River Surges and Sunlight for the first time. This is going to work for the based river as well as the travel aspect. I personally like the travel aspect better, and with that, let's jump in. Now, River Surges and Sunlight is a low complexity spirit, specializes in control, but has quite a bit of offense and some utility in the fact that it's able to multiply Dahan and give energy to other players. Now, on turn one, I like to go G2, adding presence from the bottom track, and I'll use Travel on the River's back to set up my first Sacred Site. Now, that Sacred Site is important because you're going to need that for targeting for your innate. I like to play Wash Away and River's Bounty on the first turn. With Wash Away, I can typically clear a land that is about to ravage or build, pushing them out. And with River's Bounty, I'm going to typically play that on where I moved my Dahan to with Travel on the River's back to create my first Sacred Site. With the Sacred Site, I can then use the first tier of Massive Flooding during the slow phase, pushing out a town, and that's typically going to solve a ravage or build later. On turn two, we're going to G2 again, both from bottom track, and this is going to allow us to reclaim one of the cards we just played. Now we're going to reclaim River's Bounty because we're typically not going to have the energy to play Wash Away again. But if you did somehow get an extra energy either from an ally or an event card, then you might be able to play Wash Away as well. But with this, once again, we'll play Travel on the River's back to move to Dahan to where we want to make our Sacred Site if we need to. We'll play Flash Floods. This might be able to clear an explorer that is about to build, or take out a town that's on a coastal land. With Boon of Vigor, I strongly recommend you play this on other players. This is a lot more beneficial, especially if you're playing with someone like Lightning Swift Strike, playing a lot of cards on a single turn. You can really help them out by giving them a lot of energy. And of course, River's Bounty is going to give you that extra energy, which River's energy economy is very tight. So playing River's Bounty to get this extra energy is very important. And of course, you also benefit by adding another Dahan to the board. Now, with playing these cards, you'll be able to hit the second tier of your innate power, which will let you do 2 damage and push 3 explorers or towns out of a land. This is typically enough to solve one of the lands for the next turn. On turn 3, you're going to G1, reclaim your cards, gain an energy, and gain a minor power. Now, I like to go for a minor power that costs 0 energy. The elements don't really matter for this card. You want to pick a card that is useful and is going to help you on this turn or a turn in the future. Now, on turn 3, we are going to underplay. I like to play Wash Away and this minor power. Just whatever cards that you decide to play, make sure that you have at least 1 energy left over for the next turn. On turn 4, we're going to G2 again, finishing the bottom track. And we're going to reclaim the starting card that we just played. Having reclaimed that card, you're now able to play all 4 of your unique powers. And this will give you exactly the elements that you need to max out your Massive Flooding innate, hitting the 3rd tier. Now, on turn 5 onward, you're going to be in a reclaim loop for a while, so just G1 every turn, and keep playing your 4 starting cards, plus a 5th card as long as you have the energy to afford it. Now, later on in the game, you can probably G2 or G3 again to try to get that second energy on your top track. This will increase your energy economy and give you a little bit more breathing room. So as an example, here you can see that on turn 5 and onward, you're going to be able to play all 4 of your unique powers, plus another minor power. If the minor power costs 0, this is not going to be a problem. If it does cost 1 energy, you'll have to figure out how to maintain playing that every turn. You might have to play Boon of Vigor on yourself to get that extra energy. But again, I think that's really more useful to play on an ally than yourself. What are some force multipliers that really help the spirit? Badlands and minor power cards that deal damage. Typically, you're going to struggle handling cities, especially if there are multiple cities. You start with Flash Floods, which does 1 or 2 damage, depending on whether the land is coastal or not. And typically, you have to damage the city during the fast and then finish it off during the slow. But if you can get some additional powers or have Badlands that will give you extra damage, that will make clearing the cities a lot easier. Now, there's one combination that you'll want to learn and repeat multiple times throughout your playthrough as River, and that is combining Wash Away, Flash Floods, and Massive Flooding at Tier 3. In this example, during the fast phase, you're going to play Flash Floods against the coastal stands, dealing 2 damage, and you'll deal 1 damage to each of the 2 cities. During the invader phase, let's say that the invaders are going to build in the wetlands. During the slow phase, you can then use Wash Away to push 3 explorers or towns into the sands. And finally, you're going to finish everything off with Massive Flooding at Tier 3, which deals 2 damage to each of the invaders. This is a summary of the opening that I like to use for River Surges and Sunlight. This is good for both the base spirit and the travel aspect. I hope this is helpful, and good luck defending the island.